Welcome back. In this video, we're looking at our second practice example. This one comes from the Cambridge IELTS book number 9, test number 3, and this is reading passage number 2. So here, our article is about tidal power. Let us come down to our question and let's take a look. So here we have our pick from the list question, and in this case, what you'll notice is that we don't really have a question with keywords. The question says, which 5 of the following claims about tidal power are made by the writer? There is no good keyword in here that can really help you to find the correct answer. So, in this case, what can you really do? You cannot really use keywords like tidal power or writer. This keyword over here is a repetitive keyword. The whole article is about tidal power, so that's not going to help you. So when you get a question like this, and it can happen, it's probably not so common, but this can happen and you should definitely prepare for a question like this. So when you get a question like this, what you have to do is don't do anything at all. I mean, you cannot really mark the keywords in the question and then be on the lookout for that. What I would do personally is I would not really mark any keywords for this question. I wouldn't mark any keywords in the question because there aren't any, and I also would not mark keywords from the answer choices because these are so many answer choices that I really cannot effectively hold all of these keywords in the back of my mind while I'm answering the easy questions first. And you also have to keep in mind that some of these answer choices may not even exist. So when you get a question like this, just don't do anything with it. Just go ahead and do the simple questions first, the easy questions first, and then come back to this question at the end. Okay? So in the previous examples that you saw, we had a question in which we actually had keywords. So in that case, we decided to mark the keywords and then we decided to do the easy questions first, and also we kept our eye out. We were on the lookout for those keywords from the question, from the pick from the list question. But in this case, we cannot really do that. So don't mark any keywords, just do the easy questions first and then return back to this question at the end. So for this example, I'm going to assume that I have already answered my easy questions, and now I'm returning back to this question at the end. So let's go ahead and start to answer this question type. The way we're going to do it is we're going to mark the keywords in the answer choices. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we have answer choice A. It says, it is a more reliable source of energy than wind power. The keyword is reliable. In answer choice B, it is focusing on replacement, replacing all other forms of energy in Britain. Britain is a good keyword. That is a proper noun. It may be helpful. In option C, our keyword is result. Actually, not result. Public pressure is a better keyword. We're going to focus on that. Public pressure. That's a much better keyword. Here we have air pollution. For answer choice E, it's focusing on existing power stations. It's specifically focusing on the closure, shutting down these existing power stations in Britain. Here we have national income, increasing national income. G, we have resistance. Resistance from who? From other fuel industries. For letter H, we have cheaply. Says it could be sold more cheaply. For letter I, Let's see. It's talking about compensating for the shortage of inland sites for energy production. So what it's really saying is that there is a shortage of energy production in these areas, and it's talking about compensating for that energy production, for that shortage of energy production. Next, we have the letter I. Letter I is talking about a shortage of inland sites for energy production. And then finally, letter J is talking about coastlines. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find the best keywords. There are a couple other words in here that I could use to find the right fit for the correct answer for this question, but I don't want to overwhelm myself with too many keywords. If you mark too many keywords, it's going to become difficult for you to keep them in the back of your mind. Okay, so try to keep them at a minimum. Try to mark as few keywords as possible, but at the same time, make sure that the keywords that you do mark are useful keywords. They should be easy to locate. So these are my keywords, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to browse over these keywords one more time just so I can hold them in the back of my mind while I scan my reading passage for these keywords. One thing I do want to point out is that if you just go straight to this question, this is going to be a very difficult question for you to answer, and it's going to take up a lot of your time. Okay? But this is why we return to questions like this at the end. For questions like this, it is very important that you give yourself the time and the opportunity to familiarize yourself with the content in the reading passage by doing the easy questions first. So if you have answered the easy questions first, you should be able to choose most of the correct answer choices right off the bat. It really shouldn't take you that long. Okay? So let's go ahead and start to browse over these keywords so that we can scan for these keywords when we look at our passage. So here we have reliable, replace, other forms, Britain, public pressure, air pollution, closure, existing power stations, Britain, increasing national income, resistance, other fuel industries, resistance from other fuel industries, cheaply, shortage of inland sites, and then we have coastlines. Great. So let us go and try to look for these keywords. So I'm just going to go ahead and start scanning this reading passage for any of those keywords that we just looked at. I'm going to scan for any of those keywords and see if any of them jump out. Okay, here we have Britain. I'm not going to start reading my sentences right away. I just want to mark the keywords first, and then I'll come back and I will read around the keywords next. Here I see another keyword. Look at that. I see reducing its carbon dioxide emissions. Can you guess what is that synonym language for? Carbon dioxide emissions. This here is synonym language for air pollution. Right there, air pollution. That is synonym language. Let's go ahead and see what else we can find. Here I have another keyword, Britain. Okay, I see island. Island is synonym language for coastlines. Here it mentioned coastlines, so that is synonym language. Here we have UK, that is synonym language for Britain. Here is talking about prices, competitive prices. That could be synonym language for cost. Talks about how it could be sold more cheaply. So that could be synonym language for that. Okay, let's move on to the next paragraph. Guys, I want you to be scanning with me, okay? I want you to also be looking for the keywords. Here I see constant. Constant. Here I also see predictable. These could be synonym words for reliable. See that here? Reliable. That could be synonym language for that. Okay, let's see what else. Here is talking about sites, potential sites. I'm not sure, but maybe this could be useful because I remember that here is talking about inland sites. That could be useful. Here it says islands, and here it says coasts. So those are synonym words for coastline. Remember that? Down here it says coastlines. So that is synonym language. Okay, don't see anything there. Here it says islands, could be synonym language for coastlines. Here I have the word Britain. All right, there we go. So these are all of the keywords that I've been able to find. I haven't been able to find all the keywords, but I found a good number of them, and this is a good place to start. We can start to answer this question and we can start to narrow down our answer choices. So this is a good place to start, and what I'm going to do is let's just begin with maybe not Britain, because the word Britain appears several times. So I don't want to start there because this might take up too much time. So I will instead start with this keyword here, carbon dioxide emissions. And that was synonym language for air pollution. So let's read around this area. It says, the technology raises the prospect of Britain becoming self-sufficient in renewable energy and drastically reducing its carbon dioxide emissions. So we're talking about reducing air pollution. Let's look at the answer choice and let's see if that matches up. It would cut down on air pollution. So to cut down is synonym language for to reduce. So that is one of our answer choices. Let's go ahead and mark that. Let us move on to our next keyword. Here it mentions island. I'm not sure about that. The word island also appears a couple times, so maybe I won't start there. I see the word island, coast a couple times down here as well. So I'm not going to start with that. Rather, let's see if we can start with a different keyword. Maybe this one, prices, competitive prices. And down here in one of the answer choices, it talked about how it could be sold more cheaply than any other fuel type. Let's see if that is true. Is the tidal power going to be sold more cheaply? Is that going to happen? Let's see. Here it says tidal sites have already been identified that will produce 1/6 or more of the UK's power, and at prices competitive with modern gas turbines and undercutting those of the already ailing nuclear industry. Alright guys, what do you think? Is this going to be our correct answer? Is H one of our answers? What do you think? The answer is no. H is not the correct answer. Because H is saying that it could be sold more cheaply than any other fuel type. But up here, it doesn't say anything about being sold cheaply. It says that the prices are competitive, which means that the prices are on par with other prices, with prices for other energy sources. So that could mean that the prices are pretty much the same, but it doesn't say anything about the prices being cheap. It does say that the prices would undercut. Okay, so that means that the prices would be cheaper, but it doesn't say that the prices will be cheaper than all the other energy sources. It says that the prices are going to be cheaper only in comparison to nuclear industry. Okay, so H is not our correct answer. If you want, you can go ahead and simply eliminate that by putting a line across it. If it helps you, you can go ahead and do that, but you don't have to. Let us move on and let's see what else we can answer next. Let's move on to this, predictable and constant. So this sentence says, let's start up here because this is a quote. Abu Bakr Bahaj, in charge of the Southampton research, said the prospects for energy from tidal currents are far better than from wind because the flows of water are predictable and constant. So what it's saying is that basically tidal energy is better than wind because it's more predictable, it's more constant, or in other words, it's more reliable. So is A going to be the correct answer here? What do you think? Letter A says it is a more reliable source of energy than wind power. Yes, that is exactly what it says in the reading passage. So this is our other correct answer choice. All right, 2 down, 3 more to go. Let's keep moving on. We're done with that, and what I will do next is, well, I think the only other keywords we have are Ireland and Britain, and both of those keywords appear several times throughout this passage. So let's just start with Britain. We'll just start up here. Undersea turbines which produce electricity from the tides are set to become an important source of renewable energy for Britain. Does it say anything about how these turbines are going to become an important source of renewable energy for Britain? Does it say that in the answer choice? Let's check. B says it would replace all other forms of energy in Britain. Okay, I haven't seen that yet. And here the word Britain appears again, so let's also read that answer choice. It says it could contribute to the closure of many existing power stations in Britain. Okay, I don't see that so far either. So let's move on to the next area in which the word Britain appears, which is over here. So let's read this sentence. The technology raises the prospect of Britain becoming self-sufficient in renewable energy and drastically reducing its carbon dioxide emissions. Okay, we already read that. We could have just skipped it. There was no need to read it because we already read it before. But let's read this next one. If tide, wind, and wave power are all developed, Britain would be able to close gas, coal, and nuclear power plants and export renewable power to other parts of Europe. Well, there's our answer, guys. It says that it would be able to close, I'm going to put that in blue color, that Britain would be able to close these other plants or other sources of energy like gas, coal, nuclear power, and so on. That is exactly what it says down here in the answer choice. Not here, but rather in letter E. It says it could contribute to the closure of many existing power stations in Britain, right? So we can shut down other sources of energy, well, stations for other sources of energy like wind, nuclear, and so on. So that is our other correct answer choice. All right, 2 more to go. So let's see if we can find the other remaining answers. I'm just going to scan for the other area where the word Britain appears, which is down here, somewhere down here. There we go. So here it says, the single undersea turbine farm would produce far more power than needed for the Channel Islands, and most would be fed into the French grid and re-imported into Britain, blah, blah, blah. That is not talking about anything from our answer choice, so we can just ignore it. Okay, now let us move on to our other keyword, which was island and coast. Let's see if we can find anything related to that. So let's read this sentence, starting from here perhaps. Unlike wind power, which Britain originally developed, so here the word Britain appears again, which Britain originally developed and then abandoned for 20 years, allowing the Dutch to make it a major industry, undersea turbines could become a big export earner to island nations such as Japan and New Zealand. Guys, what is it talking about here? Here, it's saying that the undersea turbines could become a big export earner. It could make a lot of money. I remember seeing that in our answer choices. It mentioned that somewhere, I'm not quite sure, let's just check here. Here we go. Increasing national income. So we didn't find anything suggesting that the answer could be letter I or J. We have the word coastlines here, but yeah, we did find another answer choice, which seems to be the right fit here. So it could be a means of increasing national income. How are we going to do that? Well, we could export the energy that we create from tidal power. So that is our other correct answer choice, letter F. All right, one more answer choice to go. So let's see which one is going to be the right fit. So now let's just go over our keywords one more time. Actually, I'm going to cross this one out because I've scanned for all the areas in which the word Britain appears, and I did not see anything about how tidal power could replace other forms of energy. I didn't see that anywhere. So I'm going to put a line across it because I don't think that that is going to be my answer. What is likely to be my answer is something related to perhaps public pressure. I didn't see this keyword either though. I'm not sure about that. But let's just refresh our mind one more time with the keywords that we are focusing on. So now we are specifically looking for public pressure, resistance from other fuel industries, shortage of inland sites, and coastlines. Let's see if we can find anything related to those 4 keywords. Okay, so we just got done with reading this sentence, and let's see. Here we have the word site, island, coasts up here. So this is a good area to read. Also, I see the keyword Britain. It seems that I missed it before. So let's go ahead and read this sentence and see if we find our answer here. EU research has now identified 106 potential sites for tidal power, 80% round the coasts of Britain. The best sites are between islands or around heavily indented coasts where there are strong tidal currents. Okay, so they're talking about how the best sites are between islands or around coasts or coastlines. So let's come down to our answer choice. Here it says it could compensate for the shortage of inland sites for energy production. I don't see anything about there being a shortage of inland sites. It doesn't say that. Here in letter J, it says it is best produced in the vicinity of coastlines with particular features. Yes, that is the answer. That is what it says. It talks about how the areas that are between islands or that are around coastlines are the best places. See that? Right here. It says the best sites are between islands. Put that in blue color. The best sites are between islands or around heavily indented coasts. So that is going to be our final answer, and we have now finished answering this question. Guys, congratulations on finishing this video, because this was the final type of question and also one of the most difficult types of questions that you can see on the reading exam. So we are now done with talking about all the different question types, and I hope that you now have a solid foundation for being able to answer each and every single type of question that you can see on the reading test. In the next video, I'm going to be answering the entire reading exam from beginning to finish, starting with reading passage number 1 and finishing off at reading passage number 3. So you're going to get a chance to see me answer the entire reading test in the next video. So I'll see you there.